A camera does not just capture what is there, it tends to interpret it. The same person can look authoritative or weak, engaged or bored, professional or amateur, all on how you frame them in the shot. So let's look at some rules on how to make your shots look better. Let's start with the eye level principle. Hold your camera at chest level and point it at someone sitting down and take a photo. Now sit down with them and hold the camera at the seated eye level and take the photo again. Compare the two. Camera below eye level, looking up, makes your subject look larger and more imposing. It also shows up their nostrils, which isn't very flattering. Camera at eye level is natural and equal, and this should be your default for interviews. Camera above eye level, looking down, makes your subject look smaller and can feel a bit condescending. So unless you have specific creative reasons for framing it differently, keep your camera lens at the height of your subject eyes. Now the rule of thirds. Imagine your frame is divided into a tic-tac-toe grid, 3 columns and 3 rows. If you've already downloaded the Blackmagic camera app, you can see this grid on your screen. On a regular iPhone, you can go to Settings, Camera, Grid, and turn it on. Here's the trick. Don't center your subject in the middle of the frame. Position their eyes along the horizontal top line and position their body along the vertical lines, middle left to right. Leave some space on the side they're facing. That's the empty space, and that's called the looking room. If you're in an interview, you're looking at somebody else and talking to them. If your subject is looking left, position them on the right third, and they're looking into the open space so it feels balanced. Put them on the wrong side and they appear to look out of frame. It feels a little claustrophobic and wrong. For a 2-person interview like the one John and I recorded, the framing follows this same logic. Each person sits on the opposite third, John on the right third looking left and Stephen on the left third looking right. The space between them creates balance. When you cut to the individual close-ups, then each person stays on their established third, looking through the frame toward the other person. Headroom is another common mistake. People center the face in the frame and leave this huge empty space above their head. John pointed out in our session that too much headroom looks bizarre, especially in a single person frame. Look at the original video, first session, and you'll see kind of what that looks like. Position the eyes in the top third and about 2 fingers worth of room for the head. Now there are artistic exceptions. If you're shooting a wide establishing shot of a person in front of a large building, then yes, sit them low in the frame so that you can see the architecture. But in an interview, your framing should be kept tight. Here's a powerful technique that John shared from his production work. If you have an iPhone or any camera that shoots in 4K resolution, you can frame wide shots and get multiple angles from it for the post. Shoot wide enough and you can capture both people and the full set. Then in your editing program like DaVinci Resolve that we've talked about, you can crop that into a 4K frame. A close-up of the guest, a close-up of the host, 2 shots of both, and a reaction shot. All from one camera. The resolution is high enough that your cropped shots will still look like 1080p whenever they go to output. This is a game changer for solo podcasters who may not be able to afford multiple cameras or have the time to do multiple shot edits. Now, are you shooting horizontal or vertical? Standard horizontal gives you 16:9 for YouTube. It's what we usually watch on television. But Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts like their 9:16 vertical, which is what everybody goes around with their phones like this doing. Keep your subject roughly centered in enough space that the vertical crop stays visible, and then you can keep critical elements away from the far and left to right edges so that you can do one recording but get two formats out of it. Before you hit record, do a complete frame check. Behind the subject, are there any objects growing out of the head? Any distracting movement or bright spots? In front, are there coffee cups, cables, equipment? At the edges, are there door frames, lights, half a person visible, gear in the shot? Clean everything up before you roll and you'll save time in the edit. Your exercise for this lesson. Set up your camera and frame the same subject 3 ways. First, too much headroom with the subject centered in the middle. Second, a correct rule of thirds placement with proper looking room in between. Third, a wide 4K shot that you could crop into at least 2 different framings in your post edit. Compare them. You'll see immediately which one looks professional and which one looks accidental. Hope this was helpful. See you on the flip side.